And but it's simply something that, we're getting to a point you just cannot simply discard it or look the other way.
It was about 2 months ago, I think, when you first showed the gang. What kind of response have you been getting from your customers in the last 2 months? And have they been a little dismayed that the politicians that they think are their friends have really done nothing?
Absolutely. I just spoke with a gentleman yesterday, and he said, one of our senators had repeatedly not answered his letters, asking specifically questions about our case and about the gang, because it just seems a lot of times it's an easy answer to say, Red's Trading Post is in federal court, there's nothing that we can do at this time, and that seems to be the pat response. However, and as I've stated several times, this is not why I'm speaking up. I'm not speaking up for Red's Trading Post. I'm speaking up for other dealers and also our Second Amendment. And that seems to be the question that they keep dancing around is, what are you doing to prevent what the ATF is doing, and also, to protect our Second Amendment and dealers as well. But it just seems to be the question they either avoid or keep dancing around.
Speaking of dealers being affected by the BATFE, do you recall the numbers or approximate numbers of the dealers who have gone out of business from the high of 200,000 plus?
Yes, actually, the ATF had actually posted it on their. It was nearly 80% of the dealers from 1994 to 2005. The number of dealers went from 245,628 to 54,902. And also the number of revocations of licenses has increased from 2001 to 2006 nearly 6 times.
Well, this first started with the Clinton administration, if I remember correctly. And we've had a Republican administration now, and it looks like things are getting worse for gun owners, especially dealers.
It does. And, as a Republican myself, it seems to be very alarming. And no one seems to be answering this question as to why is this happening. And that's something else that a lot of my fellow Republicans as well seem to be avoiding that question, or again dancing around that question, and the fact that why is this happening directly under this administration, and more importantly under Alberto Gonzales and the Department of Justice. Why is this happening? And clearly there are no answers. And the other question that I continue to ask, which this question doesn't get answered, is does the ATF answer to anyone? Because it doesn't seem so, because our congressional delegates have indicated that. Numerous other people have questioned that as well, but this appears to be an agency that specifically answers to no one and goes about. So it puts a lot of questions in the minds of gun dealers and of myself in general. Who do these guys answer to? And that's a question that I hope we finally get answered, or make them accountable to someone.
At this point, they are above the law. They seem to use the law to destroy the law, especially the Bill of Rights. But let me move on to something else with you. With all of these things going on with the ATF and more publicity being brought to your cause, you started a blog. Can you tell us about the blog and how you're using it and what kind of response you're getting from people?
At first, I had been sending out mass emails, and more people were just wanting to know what's happening, and everything was happening at such a rapid rate, even every day, that I started this blog, and to let people know and let people have an insight as to what's happening. going through this, the mind of a dealer who's continuously attacked, and we've gotten an incredible response. There's been so many people who have been following this. At times we get anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 hits a day from people following our story, looking on, and asking questions. It's been and of course, the biggest visitor to our website is the Department of Justice, who has hit our website numerous times. Along with we've had the Pentagon, and it seems that anyone who writes a story about us or questions the ATF, what tends to happen is they visit their website and they'll sit on their website. Some people have reported up to hours on their website, making their presence known, and they choose not to hide their IP address. They sit there, and but it hasn't. And generally, this is their way to intimidate people. However, it's been a good response because a lot of people aren't intimidated. A lot of people are exposing them and saying, "Hey, listen, why have you sat on my website this long? What are you hoping to look for?" And so it's and I've received a lot of reports like that, but it's I've been very pleased to be able to document our experience and kind of shed some light, and that's exactly what the ATF doesn't want to do is expose the light on their actions and what exactly that they're doing.
This is Talking to America. Our guest today is Ryan Horsley, and I'm your host, Aaron Zellman. Ryan, I find it very fascinating. You commented about a computer system the ATF was so adamant about you getting. You already had a computer system, or you still have one. But why did they want you to get their type of computer system?
What's interesting is the Director of Industry Operations, this Richard Van Loan, had stated that if we had a computerized acquisition disposition system, that he would have never revoked our license. And we initially had began looking for a system after our 2000 audit, and we had went through probably about 4 different systems that really didn't either meet our needs or would not meet the needs of the ATF. They're extremely specific on what type of system it is, and we finally got a system that would meet their needs. It's a $12,000 system that we're leasing. Yet at the same time, the area supervisor had came in and deemed it inadequate. And so, and what's also interesting is the fact that Mr. Van Loan had stated that with this system, that the 2005 audit, that we would have, if we had a computerized system, we would have never had the violations. However, if you take a look at the violations that we had, a lot of these were, people not having the county on the forms, a lot of clerical errors on the forms, and also we had stated the pamphlet and the poster that state handguns are dangerous around children. This would have never prevented it, but like our competitor, Blue Lake Sporting Goods,